what's intriguing to me about makeup is I look at every single face as a canvas. Like
Yeah.
instead of a flat canvas, it's like a dimensional canvas to me. So the way like I feel like when I started really accelerating in makeup is when I took away everything that everyone taught me from makeup and started looking at it as a painting.
Hey, this is Chad Namiro.
And I'm Kelly Namiro. Welcome to the Balancing Chaos podcast,
A lifestyle podcast where we will interview guests about wellness, business, and just about everything in between.
Our goal is to help you develop a lifestyle that promotes health, wholeness, and success. Through our conversations, we hope to inspire you to live a beautiful, full, and joyful life as you navigate balancing the chaos.
We hope you enjoy.
Hi, you guys. Welcome to our second season. We are so excited to be here, and we have the most major guest on for our first podcast episode back. I am so excited to introduce Hrush to you. Hrush is a celebrity makeup artist and beauty influencer. With a whopping 2 million Instagram followers, Hrush is a household name in the world of beauty. She has a really interesting story of how she got started, which we've talked about briefly while she's done my makeup. And when I saw her on a Revolve panel, we've talked about it, but I want her to go into detail on this. This woman knows hard work. She is up sometimes at 3 a.m. to get to a set where she's doing makeup, and she knows that that is the game. And so she's really worked hard to get to where she is. So we're going to talk about work ethic today as well. She is a makeup artist to the stars. And I mean real stars like J-Lo, Kylie Jenner, Kim Kardashian, Kendall Jenner. The list goes on and on. You have seen her on Instagram. She is huge on YouTube. She's on TV. She also has a sunglass line. She did my makeup for my wedding, and I would not have trusted anyone else. I trialed a million different people, and Hrush is where it's at. I feel my most beautiful when she does my makeup, and I'm actually seeing her next weekend. So with all of that said, please welcome Hrush to the Balancing Chaos podcast. Hi, Hrush. Thank you for being here.
Oh my God, that was quite the introduction. What a hype woman you are.
No, seriously, you are where it's at, and we are so grateful to have you here. And we want to start by kind of taking it way back, because I know that you had a childhood that was different than a lot of people. So I want you to take us back to your childhood. I heard you speak about this on a Revolve panel about your childhood and how like your whole interest in makeup got started. So tell us about that.
So I was born in Armenia. And at the time when I was born, the Soviet Union, as you guys know, ruled in the region. Armenia was part of the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. And the reason why my family left Armenia, we left as technically refugees. My father was in the Soviet military without choice.
That's insane.
Yeah. And when the Soviet Union fell, it's kind of like, imagine what would happen here if there's no more currency. And so basically we fled to America. And it was, I feel like I definitely get how you talked about work ethic. My dad came to America with 6 people with $40 in his pocket, no paperwork, nothing, and worked multiple jobs day and night, and then put my mom through school, didn't let her work. And basically my mom started working at the DCFS and then eventually became a criminologist. And then it took an interesting turn for her because she's just always been like, I was always into like makeup and beauty. And so she has as well, and knows all these like just Russian techniques, like just the Euro techniques that they don't apply in America. And she started not a couple years ago, a while ago, she became a facialist. And it's just interesting that we became like this mother-daughter duo. Yeah.
She did my skincare before my wedding too. She's fantastic. Most amazing. So how did you actually get here?
So I got here on a military plane.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, it was a lot. Like, I just feel like props to my father for being able to do that with 6 people. And my brother at the time was like 9 months old or something like that. So it was just a lot. Like, I saw a lot, I endured a lot. And I feel like that really impacted me just seeing that as a child where it's like, okay, like how they always say, like, America is the land of opportunity. And I really like grasped at that idea that I'm going to make everything possible for myself. If my dad did it, I can do it too.
Yeah. Such a vulnerable, like young age for such a big move. And
Yeah.
really, I think a lot of people would have felt like the opposite, where it's like they don't really do anything and they kind of, are relying on the system. And you really like turned it around and showed up in the most amazing way, like building the most amazing brand. So I know Chad's really into.
I'm just curious, when you first came, like what city did you come to, and like your first few months, years, whatever it may be, what was your original perception of America? Like what really stood out to you?
Well, it's actually really funny. So we came October 30th, and we didn't obviously have a place to stay or anything like that. And my father had relatives, so we had to split up and stay with like our relatives. And I just remember the next day was Halloween. I just remember just like seeing stuff like that. And I was just like, what is this? What is this country? Where did we land? And then my cousin had to explain to me, oh, it's just like a fun holiday where we dress up. I was like, oh, I just remember like, I don't know why that one distinct memory. The next day I was like, what is happening? Like, where are we? And obviously you're already confused coming with like, I don't know, just I was young, so I didn't really understand what was going on. And then when you get here, it's just like, okay, such a huge change. And then the next day is Halloween and you're like, what is this land? Where did I land? Who are we? What is this?
Yeah, who are all these monsters walking around with Snickers?
Yeah. Yeah, what's happening here? But I really think like, I mean, it was really interesting. And I remember like when I started going to school here, obviously I didn't know how to speak English. I got bullied a lot for that. And then just like the culture that I grew up in was just very strict. Like you couldn't tweeze your eyebrows like until you got married. They have this thing like you can't shave until you're married. Like it doesn't even make sense, literally. But I was like the hairy kid in school that always get like bullied and like had to wear hand-me-downs. I remember there was like a Christmas where like we couldn't afford a Christmas tree. And I feel like that like really impacted my dad. And after Christmas is over, when like people throw the Christmas trees on the street, he like went and grabbed someone else's Christmas tree and then like figured out a way to just be like, oh, we're just celebrating Christmas a little bit late. But like things like that, I feel like it really made an impact because I would get bullied a lot when I went to school. It's like, oh, you don't have this, I have this. You don't have that, I have this. Oh, your shoes are too big for you. Like, oh, or like you have a unibrow or you have this or whatever. But I wouldn't take back any of that because I really think that that taught me humility.
Yeah.
So like, I just feel like no matter where I get in life, I'll always be kind to others because it just, you never know what somebody's going through or their situation or their circumstance for like you to make fun of them or even just like lightly as like a sarcastic joke. It's not, you can really deeply scar someone with one sentence.
It's so true. And I feel like we are, all of us are so influenced by every single experience we've ever had.
Yeah.
And that those things are what formed you into the person you are today. And like you said, that taught you humility. But I bet like your dad bringing home a Christmas tree, like it also is like such an informant of like what type of father he was and like what type of a man he is. Like he still wanted you guys to have that experience. And so he made every effort that he possibly could to give it to you. And that's so special as well. So I love hearing that. So talk to me a little bit about when you started to get interested in makeup, when you started, like, was that your first job or how did that all roll out?
I used to dance since I was I think around 6 or 7 years old. They placed me in a theater school and they would like work their asses off to cover basically the amount because obviously there's no one to watch me or like there's no extracurricular, but they like put me in an Armenian theater school. So it just like I can be around Armenians versus like being in an American school where I'm like culture shocked as well. And then, so every time we would go on stage, I would watch like the older girls do their makeup and how they would do it. So I don't know, I just became obsessed with the transformation of makeup just because like in my eyes, I was told like, oh, you have thick eyebrows. Oh, you have a unibrow. So like every time I put on makeup, I would feel pretty on stage. But then I feel like that's how I learned the application of it from such a young age. And I would always oil paint all the time. I've always been artistic. It's just like an outlet for me. And along that, I wanted to be a designer, truth be told. Like that's
Yes, you told me
exactly,
that.
yeah, that's what I wanted to do. And I worked at an atelier. And every time like I would like mock up designs, I would like concentrate more on like the contouring and highlighting of the face and like the hair and all of that. And there was an incident of somebody didn't have like a makeup artist last minute, and I was 17 years old. And the head designer was just like, oh yeah, she's a makeup artist. No, I'm not. And it was a really big wedding. And I'm just like standing there, and he's like, no, you're actually really good at makeup. And in my head, I'd be like, no, I want to be a designer. So he like bought me, like basically put together a little caboodle for me. Do people know
With
caboodles?
all your makeup.
Yeah, like a little makeup kit. And I'll never forget, like my first brush set was from Costco. And I still like hold one of those brushes really, really near and dear to my heart. And I'll never get rid of it.
I love
Because
it.
it just reminds me where I started from. And I did this woman's makeup with literally my hand shaking. It was like some princess from the Middle East, from somewhere. And I remember crying afterwards, like I ruined the most important day of this girl's life. Oh my God. Like I just felt horrible. And then I remember receiving a call saying like, I've never felt so beautiful in my life. I'm going to refer a couple people to you. Okay. Like that just like made me happy. By the way, I didn't have cosmetology license or anything like that.
Yeah.
And more people started coming to me off of her referral. And then I would just take people in my bedroom at my parents' house. And my dad would be confused, like, who are all these people coming into the house? I'm like, oh yeah, I do makeup for $40 now. Like my side
Your
hustle.
prices have definitely changed.
Yes. Isn't it crazy?
That's amazing. I love that. That's so, so cool that that's how you started. And I feel like the word of mouth businesses are really the best ones, because only people who really love your services are going to speak highly of them.
Yeah.
Definitely the primary mechanism. I was fascinated, actually. I was reading a bit about you more specifically, and I think I saw on your website that to you, like every face is a blank canvas. And like to a guy, like I don't know if I honestly until today ever really saw it as like an art form, but it really is. So you touched on it, of course, but if you want to elaborate on anything there, I think it's just fascinating to think about it from that angle.
Yeah. So what's intriguing to me about makeup is I look at every single face as a canvas. Like instead of a flat canvas, it's like a dimensional canvas to me. So the way like I feel like when I started really accelerating in makeup is when I took away everything that everyone taught me from makeup and started looking at it as a painting. Like texture, dimensions, letting color sit, drying before touching it, just like how oil painting is. You can't like put color over color or else it leaks through. And then when I started applying that technique to makeup is when like I would get this like flawless finish where people look like a doll, or like how you would edit a photo. That's like how you end up looking like. And then just making sure you put back the imperfections that you took out so it looks natural and it doesn't show that it's the makeup wearing you, that you're naturally beautiful. So like I think a lot of the time, like I love colorful makeup. Don't get me wrong. We've had this conversation before. I love like the cut creases and the glitter and the greens and the turquoises. I love it. It's cute. It's artistic, but I am obsessed when a woman looks like it's just them. Like it's not the makeup that stands out. It's the woman. It's the person wearing it. And
how did you feel about my makeup on our wedding day?
Excellent. I was more impressed by the next day at brunch after.
I know. She came in hot with the next day at brunch. She used those eyelashes from the night before.
I know. There were some salty meals that night. I think we killed a pizza.
Yeah, and she still made me look good.
I don't want to piss off your fans, but I'm pretty sure it's pepperoni. Different time. But no, she looked phenomenal. Go ahead.
Well, when a man compliments like somebody's face that I do, I always like take that as like the stamp of approval, because I feel like usually men or like a significant other always prefers their partner more natural looking, or just like more with feminine features, softer, versus like the harsher lines. Do you agree? Like if you see like a full on contour, are you going to really be attracted to it?
1,000%. He says that to me all the time. And then whenever
Yeah.
you do my makeup, it's like, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful, because it doesn't really look like you have this face full of makeup. And I think that
Yeah.
that's where you're such an expert. And so when we were doing, our research for this, and we were reading more about you, because I've known for so long that you've done celebrity clients. Like, when I first met you, I knew that about you, but I read somewhere that Kim Kardashian was actually your first celebrity client, which is insane. Like usually you have that build up into someone who's that big. So can you tell us about how that happened and how you achieved that? Because I think that it really says so much about your brand.
So when I first started out doing, like when Instagram just came out, I remember there was years of it. And my friend would always be like, you need to get on Instagram. And I'm like, no, I'm not really into it. And I remember I got on Instagram and I posted something like political about the Armenian genocide. And then my Instagram got taken down. And then they were not allowing me to make more Instagrams. And this is like everyone was kind of growing. But at the time, when my first Instagram account that I had a lot of followers compared to other people when Instagram was just new. And then they took it away, never gave a reason.
Oh my gosh.
That's why like I had to come up with Styled by Hrush, because Hrush was gone.
Taken away.
Yeah.
Censoring right there.
Yeah. So then, and in a way it's kind of cool, because it's like, it's not like makeup vibe, because I feel like I style someone's face or their aesthetic while I work with them. Like it's not only a makeup service I feel like I provide. Like I always give people advice like, hey, if you do this or that, or you
always tell me, like, you're like, oh, well, if you're going to wear this and your makeup's going to be this, then you should do your hair like this. And like, it brings the whole look together, and you are 1,000% right. It's like, it's a whole vibe. It's not just makeup, but yeah. Okay. So back to you.
So I started posting. I remember it was like my aunt that like made it with her account back then. Like it's when like Instagram was actually owned by Instagram.
Yeah.
My aunt used her email, and she's like, you should start posting. Everyone's posting all these makeup things, and you should do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started posting my clients, and I would make these, like, remember Pick Stitch?
Yes.
Like the before
and after.
And at the time, nobody was underpainting. In fact, I had so many clients that weren't used to it. Like when I would underpaint their face, they would literally start freaking out and ask me to remove it. And I'm like, but this is like the magic of my makeup. I underpaint and it like looks like something else afterwards.
Yeah.
But some people, like if it was their first time, like obviously I understand that's overwhelming to see that on your face. But then I would show the after, and then just like them dressed up.
Okay.
Of their event. And those pictures started doing well for me. And then when the video option came out on Instagram, I feel like that's what really catapulted me, because I was showing unfiltered, raw images of real skin, of what makeup, like the transformation of makeup can actually do.
Yeah.
And all of that, I feel like just got me more followers and more followers. I was getting featured. Remember like those like beauty blogs, like back in the day, I will give props to Vegas Nay. She would always shout me out. And a lot of like my followers came from her.
Okay.
Always would like repost my videos. Huda Beauty, she would repost my videos back in the day. And I would not really post my face. So
I was going to say, did you ever do videos of yourself doing makeup at that point, like you do on your YouTube?
Not really. If I did, it was like a zoom up of just like my eye.
Okay.
And people didn't know if I was female or male because of the name. And everyone just kept telling me, just like post yourself, post like how you do your makeup, like on yourself. And I feel like I've just always, I don't know, I'm a Cancer. Like I like being behind the scenes, but then sometimes it's like, okay, I'll poke my head out. Like, okay, give me attention. Okay, I'm done. Bye. That kind of vibe.
And your work like speaks for itself. So
thank you. So then eventually I started posting myself. I did a project with one of the designers at the time that was booming, Michael Costello. I did my makeup. I did he asked me to model for something and I did that. And then I started doing, I don't know if you guys know who Brittany Gastineau is.
Yeah. I remember she had a show on E! At one point.
Gastineau Girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did her makeup a couple times and then she's stunning. She has beautiful eyes. And then I posted it because I just wanted to try out new looks. And she was willing to let me do whatever I wanted on her face. Because some people, clients, when they come, they're very specific of what they want. And I've never really had the time to just work on models and do whatever I feel that's creative and cool. Mm-hmm. So then I started doing her. And then that's when I received, around that time, I started receiving an email from a production team, Unum and Murray, and I didn't know who the client was. They didn't really tell me. And obviously when I got an NDA, I had an idea, but then when the day came, I was like, oh.
You're like, oh, it's Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Okay. Yeah. And I remember she's, honestly, she doesn't need a drop of makeup. She's a very, 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 very beautiful girl naturally.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I did her makeup, I definitely forgot how to do makeup. I was just very, very nervous. And I worked with her for a very, very long time before I even posted her because I really took that NDA seriously.
Yeah.
Because I've never signed an NDA before. And I remember I was like, okay, word for word.
Did they used to not post that they had glam? The first time you did her makeup, was it just reality TV, we look like this? And then they started being more open about the fact that they have glam all the time?
No, I feel like I've never felt that way with them ever. Yeah. Because I feel like they're the ones that probably busted the closet, on who they use.
Yeah, they're so open.
Yeah. So I never felt that way with them. I just felt embarrassed to ask her to take a photo of her.
Oh, okay.
After the glam is done. And then if I saw paparazzi photos, I wouldn't post it just because I don't know. I think in my culture, it's we say honest, I don't want to look like I'm ungrateful for the opportunity. So I don't want to take advantage of somebody.
You're super humble, which is such a good thing. I feel like that's something that's a really big thing with the way that my parents tried to raise us too. And
definitely,
I think that being humble it takes you so much further when you do really end up making it. So I think that is awesome. And I mean, now everyone, you do their whole family, right?
Yeah. Well, I've stopped after I got sick. So there was a transition in my career where I had septic shock.
Yeah.
Was hospitalized.
I want to talk about your health a little bit. So we'll go into that.
With makeup. Yeah, I definitely started doing her. Then I did a bunch of other people. I really, really enjoyed it. I've trained so many assistants. You've worked with my assistants before, makeup assistants, and then they became their own makeup artists, and they're with our agency, an agency I created. And I feel like I would have kept going with makeup forever till the end of time, until I feel like it was just I don't know, kind of an anchor being thrown in your way, where I had plastic surgery done. And who would think that you would get, literally, you could almost die. I think people really don't talk about that portion of plastic surgery. I feel like it's become a fad. Get this done, get that done, without knowing the consequences or what you're really putting on that table when you're being put to sleep.
Yeah.
And I had a breast reduction and a lift, and without even thinking twice, not even reading the paperwork, I'm signing whatever. I've had this done before. I've had plastic surgery. It's nothing. I'm going by one of the best doctors ever.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen to me when I wake up, kept saying, it's fine. You're probably on the painkillers. So 11 days later, I apparently had sepsis in me. And then it turned into septic shock. And the only way I lived is because I went to a recovery center and the woman was, I guess, monitoring my like heart rate, my vital signs. And she was just like, you need to like get in the car, go to the emergency room immediately, or I'm calling an ambulance. You can't stay here longer because it's going to be like a situation for them, like having
liability. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I checked into the hospital, I was already like jaundice.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah. And my left lung was filled with water. My blood cells were eating up all my red blood cells. My hemoglobin level was basically near what a dead person is.
Oh my God.
And my brain shut off for like point something seconds. Like I don't really remember much.
Yeah.
And my right leg, I just remember my right leg hurting a lot and being like really swollen for some reason.
Yeah.
And the doctors there did an amazing job. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
They wanted to amputate my leg, and eventually they drilled holes into my leg and sucked out like the infection with like 2 procedures a day for over a month.
Yeah. I read you, or I heard maybe on another podcast, you said you had like 17 surgeries after that.
Yeah, in the hospital.
That's insane.
Yes.
And so eventually they couldn't put me to sleep anymore because like I was not all there. So they just kept like giving me Dilaudid over and over again, like above the state law of how much you can give someone. They had to go through like, I guess like paperwork or whatever they did, so that they can like suck the fluid out while I was awake instead of putting me to sleep. And eventually they seriously did their job. I didn't have to have my leg amputated, which I'm so grateful for. And then over the scars that they drilled, I had a huge, I don't know if you see my tattoo.
Yeah.
I have a tattoo kind of over the scars just to remind me always
of what happened. And so did that change your relationship with work?
So what I noticed is, okay, I'm not able to stand because obviously my leg, there's holes in it. I literally couldn't stand for a very, very long time. I had to like go to physical therapy to learn how to walk again. And my money stopped. I was financing so many things and then all of a sudden it's like zero.
Yeah.
And I think that was a very big reality check for me is I need to figure something out for myself that like, even if I physically can't be there, I still make money because this was not cool. It just happened to me. It's like a serious health thing where I almost died. And then like at the same time, it's like, I'm not making any money anymore. So I feel like that's when I wanted to like get into YouTube and just like how I was doing master classes going around worldwide and teaching other makeup artists my technique that I've adapted from oil painting and other makeup artists like Max Factor, Kevin Aquan. Like I've read their books and just really admired them and kind of you like remix it. I hate when people always are like, this is my technique and da-da-da-da, I made it out of my ass. It's like, no, you didn't.
You're like, you learned a bunch of stuff and then you built a brand on it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I started doing. And then I started doing YouTube. And then when I started doing YouTube, then the Instagram deal started coming in. And I was like, oh my God, this is way more than what I was making before because I just mind my own business. I don't have to travel back and forth because I developed autoimmune from septic shock.
Yeah.
So I like threw myself back into work right after trying to make back all the money lost. And then I just kept making myself sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. Like I remember I was on home health and I would literally go to the bathroom and shoot up the syringe so the blood would go away because I would hook myself to an IV and unhook myself. And a lot of people didn't know this except for like close people. I would wear long sleeves because I still was connected to Picnic IV.
Yeah.
And like would literally take somebody with me like, can you just clean out the blood? And they're like, are you crazy? Like, what are you doing?
Like, I think that people like me and you, like there is, and I think that I know Chad wanted to ask you some questions about your work ethic, but there's like this really fine line between like the passion that you have for what you do and like how that drives you into it. And then it's like, okay, but is that tipping me into a point of like working too hard and being too focused on it and like
Yeah.
stressing my body out. Like, I know that's what caused all of my hormonal imbalance. And like, it's just, yeah.
What's really stuck out to me is a lot of the immigrants that I know well in my life tend to have like a certain grit and determination. And I think based on what you described, at the beginning of the pod, I think a lot of it is humility, and a lot of it comes down to, on paper, America is like the land of opportunity. And so like you can, if you work hard enough, be whoever you want to be. And, that's not necessarily equal for everyone, but I've just noticed it, especially with immigrants and also actually with those who are adopted.
Yeah.
And so there's just a chip on their shoulder. And so that was really the basis of my question is, how much did that factor in? And it sounds like, a decent amount from our earlier conversation.
When people would sit back, like I've missed so many Christmases, New Year's, birthdays, weddings, because I was working, holidays, like for years. I'm 35 years old. I started when I was 17. So a decade fully. Like I would say I would wake up 4 a.m. till 9 p.m. I'd work. And it was just like a makeup factory for me. And for me, it was just making enough to kind of give back to my family the amount that they gave to me, because I saw them give up so much of their lives to provide for us. So for me, it was just kind of like, if I got to go on a trip, let's say if they like invited me, you're an influencer, like if let's say Sephora is like, we want to make a deal with you and we want you to come to like Australia for a store opening, I would try to make sure to take my mom with me so she gets to experience life with me.
That's awesome.
Because they didn't experience life. And for me, it was just, I want to make a lot to retire my parents, and just like in my head, it's like, buy them a house, buy them a house, buy them a house. I have to do everything for them. A couple of years ago, I started going to therapy, and I remember the first therapist that I saw. It's really funny. I remember coming up at off the chair, and the look on his face was like priceless. And he's like, well, you have a lot of childhood trauma. And I'm like, no, I really don't think that's trauma. And well, he's like, well, you're a little bit in denial. And I'm like, but I don't know. Some people I feel like are raised in a bubble, right? And that's fine. But then I know so many people now, like your family has really taught you hard work, aside from the situation, like the hand that you guys were dealt. And, your mom, I really, really, really respect her and admire her, and your father, like, congratulations on the intelligence is on another level.
Thank you.
But just certain people that I see around me, it's like, you've been given the world and you're just so ungrateful, and you're just running around like, I'm depressed. Like, what the fuck are you depressed about? Like, what are you depressed about?
Yeah. Get up and do something.
And I hate to be that person. Like, I understand everyone has been through stuff, but it's like the people that I know that have been through really serious things, like, are always the most grateful. And it just doesn't matter like on what scale you've been through something. Like I don't ever like compare like my pain equally to somebody else's, because like something small can trigger somebody the same amount equally as it did for me being an immigrant or being bullied or not knowing the language, whatever. Everyone has their own threshold.
I think that that's such good advice for someone to take away from you and from this episode. Is like, everyone has been through stuff. It's like, you get to choose how you show up. I think that's so key.
How you decide to write your story. Like, are you going to sit there and complain and attract that energy, or are you going to do something about it?
That is like the perfect segue into the next thing I was going to ask you, because I think that doing makeup, like, yes, it's about your art and your like the, painting the face and showing off someone's beauty. But it's also, I feel like your job is so much about the energy that you put out to the people that you're with. It's so much about like, you're right in someone's face. Like, you have to have good energy, and like how you show up and the energy that you put out is so important to how they go into their event or whatever you're doing their makeup for. Of course. And so I think that my question is like, does that come naturally to you, putting out that energy, or something that you have to like actually like work on and show up for every time you go?
I think that it's like, I always tell, like, even some of my employees, when they come into work and they're like, this happened and I'm just so depressed. Sorry, I'm not working as fast. Or it's like, you just have to understand that, like, no matter what you're going through, if you've chosen this as your job, you need to put aside your feelings. And actually, it helps when you just know the difference of, like, I'm separating my work from my personal life. And then, like, you just know how to, like, turn that switch off of whatever you're going through. You just need to, like, you're going to zone into your work, and it's kind of a getaway. Yeah. And I honestly feel like when I do that, it's so therapeutic for me, because, like, makeup and just, like, the transformation process makes me happy. So when I can turn that part off in me and just really concentrate on the makeup and the energy that you're talking about, the person that I'm working on needs to have the same kind of vibration as I do. Because there are people where I just don't like their energy and I don't like to work on them, and I don't care who they are. I just will not. It just doesn't come out right. Like, I can't explain it. Like, no matter, and I've learned that, like, I would force myself before. It's like, there's no synergy. So I need to just make sure I collect clients that share the same energy as I do and view beauty the way I do. And even just the morality of, like, how I am, because there has been times where it's like, not even the client, just the people around them. And it's just, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be around this. I'm starting to feeling I'm starting to feel uncomfortable, and it's toxic. Exactly.
Yeah. I think that it's such a beautiful point in anyone's career when you get to the place where you can be like, I just got to that place in the last, I would say, year or so, where you can be like, I don't want to, if you're not going to, like, for me, like, follow through with the recommendations I give you, like, I don't need to work with you. There are plenty of other people knocking at my door. And for you, it's like, it's just, if there's no, like, synergy there, then see you later. I'll find there, there's a million other people. So,
and not that even it's like a bad thing. It just, we don't work well together, and mesh. I'm not going to put that pressure on myself, nor put it on you, and just, like, have a volatile situation, or, like, I don't want to be around that. Yeah. But I do feel like for a very long time, how you said, I would just suck it up. Same. And I would notice, like, I'd be so depleted afterwards, and it's just
not worth it.
Yeah, it's not.
I respect that. There's a little bit of a crossroads, and it's like, from small businesses to large enterprises, like, there's somewhat of an expectation that you can come to work, you can discuss your personal life, your political views. I think that's all great, but I really do admire, like, mission-driven CEOs who galvanize around, like, this is our mission, and, like, leave everything else at home. Like, you're here to forward our mission and our purpose. There's a few great leaders, including yourself, who I think do that very well. And I think it's really important.
So, Hrush, before we get into the really fun questions, and I'm going to just tell Chad to plug his ears, because I know our listeners want me to ask the makeup product questions.
Yeah.
One thing that we both found really interesting about you is that you never really worked with an agency. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you've built this all on your own. Mm-hmm. That's so impressive.
That's why I always give props to, like, those, like, two women that always, like, would post me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it makes a difference.
It really does. And honestly, social media you don't need an agency anymore.
Yeah.
The world of the web will do the job for you. As long as you work hard, put out good content, and you're very authentic, people will catch the same vibe that you're on.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it really comes, like, sometimes when I watch TikTok, or it's like, hey guys, like, like, sure, like, that works for some people, maybe children, but I feel like the real consumers, like, they can see through bullshit. Like, when I watch people, just as a professional, I'm like, half the time when I'm watching certain things, but there are those that really captivate me, and I will listen to every single word, because I can tell, like, I can feel the authenticity. And, like, my only advice to anyone, like, if you're trying to grow as a makeup artist or anything,
I was going to ask, if you're trying to grow on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I mean, you're the queen of it. What's your advice?
I still don't know what angle I'm going to tackle TikTok on, but, like, I feel like this little break that I've had, I'm like, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, like, do my own thing. Because I feel like I was following, like, the trends and what this person is doing and that person, because, like, everyone and be like, oh, this person got a lot of followers from doing this. And I feel like I was doing that for a moment. It always takes me a moment to, I'm one of those that like sit back and watches everything. And then I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. But like with TikTok, I sat back and I watched like the trending sounds and then like dance like this and do this transition and this. And people will like, you'll get a lot of followers and use this sound and blah, blah, blah. But I just feel like, honestly, like if you keep it 500% with people, you'll grow that following.
1,000%. If you are you, like authentically you.
Yeah. And that's because no one's real anymore.
Yeah.
And so if you're authentic and you're real and, you know, your work always speaks for yourself, right? Like if the work is good, it's always
so much better than if you are showing up as trying to like copy someone else or do someone else.
People are just yearning for that on social and just in life. Like it's human connection, you know, via digital or not, but that is the ticket. So it's great to hear.
But even like Kelly, like your social media presence is so authentic. I watch, like, I even like some of my friends, like my Armenian friends, will like watch her, look at her recipes, because like she actually is with it. Like whatever she's saying, she uses, and does and lives by. Like, and I think the audience is no longer stupid where they're blinded of like before, like when celebrities would be like, oh, I use this. Like people are not like stuck in the media world anymore. Like
totally.
They can see the truth.
They can see it. Yeah. Do you think that consistency is important with all of it? Or do you think that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think that like I noticed a huge difference of when I was consistent. And then when I was really, really ill, people forget about you because there's so many people on social media, you know? And I feel like people have a rise and like, just like staggering and then like another rise or like cancel culture. I don't agree with.
Yeah.
People make mistakes.
1,000%.
Us too.
And
For someone just quickly who I don't really have or use Instagram, but I went on yours today and it's literally like looking at an artist page. Like I'm not that into makeup, admittedly, right? But like going and seeing all the different scenes and variations and different individuals, it really is quite amazing. It's an art form. So I don't look at a ton of these type of pages, to be fair, but I thought it was especially unique. So I'd urge people to check it out, as I'm sure they will.
Everyone's on there. Yeah. With her 2.3 million followers.
I like just like even just random photos that I take or whatever. I like to curate a fun image to look at, not just like blank.
Yeah. 1,000%. All right. Time for you to plug your ears because we're going to talk product.
Give me some male products. I'm starting to get some crow's feet.
Okay. Tell us first, what are your top 3? I want to know best foundation, best lip liner, best mascara. Those are my favorite things to use. Like I couldn't live a day without them. So for you,
I feel like my tried and trues, I have to give 3. So of each.
Fair.
The Chanel Lumiere foundation, I have it on right now. Like I feel like for every single day, let me emphasize that one more time. I hate tinted moisturizers because hate them.
Well, your face is like literally glowing right now and we're on Zoom. So that says something about the foundation you're wearing.
This is like a buildable foundation where the first layer you put on, it's super thin. It gives you a very beautiful glow. But like, for example, tinted moisturizers break me out. And I remember I was talking to a dermatologist. They're like, yeah, we hate CC creams and tinted moisturizers because there's an ingredient in it that it actually goes into your pores and clogs your pores because it like your skin accepts it like a lotion or a serum.
Yeah. And it has that pigment where then it clogs your pores.
So I figured out, because I used to use the Armani tinted moisturizers, like the tube ones. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Continue them. And then if I want a light look, it's the Chanel is my go-to. I feel like Armani is really, really good too, but it does break out some people. I've noticed that. The Luminous Silk Foundation.
Yeah, you use that on me because I love the way that it looks. I think it's so pretty.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. It's the right amount of matte
Yeah.
And coverage. But I've noticed on some people, like some of my friends will be like, that foundation broke me out.
Yeah.
And then I just feel like the tried and true is like the stage makeup.
Yeah.
RCMA, not talked about enough, just stage makeup and professional makeup is on another level. Like if you want that beats, full coverage, saturation, vibration
Yeah.
on your face, it's going to be professional stage makeup.
Okay. I love it. What about lip liner and mascara?
My current favorite lip liner that I cannot live without is Whatever Walnut.
Whatever Walnut. Okay.
I think it's that. Yeah. It looks so good on every single skin tone. And then Deep Taupe by Anastasia. Really, really pretty. When I first started doing makeup, I remember the C3 Forever lip liner was my jam. They're really good at lip liners, and I feel like it's very underrated.
Yeah.
And then Makeup Forever is really underrated. I feel like the makeup artists know where it's at, but the consumers, I feel like, use the brands that actually copy Makeup Forever tones.
Okay.
And then the Deep Taupe Anastasia Beverly Hills, I'm really, really liking. And this is discontinued, but the Il Maquillage, the Carly Bible.
Did you stock up? Do you have extras?
I do. I'll give you one. But I remember like the first time when I opened her PR package, I was like, I'm going to need like 20 more of those because this color is very unique. I've never seen it like look so good. Because I don't only use it on myself. I use it on other people, different skin tones, undertones.
Right.
And these are things that like everybody collectively
looks good on
with. Yeah. When I use it on them.
I remember when we did my makeup for my wedding, you told me, you were like, you have to take these lash extensions off. And I was like, no, oh my gosh, I don't want to take the lash extensions off. Like, and you're like, it hides the natural shape and the natural beauty of your eye. You're like, you have really big, beautiful brown eyes. Like, show people what your eyes look like. Yeah. And when I did that, I have to admit, I went back to it for a hot minute, but like for the longest time I've had them off, and it is because of you. And it is so true. And my husband could not be happier about it.
Appreciate
He's
that.
so happy.
You're welcome.
It looks better. It just does.
It does.
He thinks I'm like lying. I'm really not.
Yeah, it definitely does. I just feel like, okay, lash extensions are great if you're going on vacation, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't like the really heavy ones that drag the shape of your eye and it like almost covers it. Like sometimes when I feel like when I have people sitting in front of me and they're talking to me, like you can only see like half their eye, like
yeah,
the people.
They look tired.
Yeah. And it just like, it's closing your eye.
Yes. So with that said, favorite mascara?
Favorite mascara, I would definitely have to say 3 again. Lash Paradise by L'Oreal, if you're into drugstore.
Okay.
The Lancome Hypnose.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yes. Oh, oldie but a goodie.
Yeah. And then Too Faced Better Than Sex.
Okay. Oh, I like that one too. So talking about being tired, how do tired moms not look so tired? Give us some tips.
Honestly, I feel like, remember the first time when I was like, can I have some ice and 2 silver spoons, please?
Yes. Yes. The silver spoon.
Do you remember that? The silver spoons, you were like, what is this weirdo doing? I honestly think like icing your face in the mornings really, really helps.
Yeah.
Just submerging your face into cold water, like a bucket of cold water, if you can, really just does the job a lot. But I remember accidentally I was cooking something, if we're talking about dark circles.
Yes.
And I was making potatoes and I got a little turmeric on my finger. And I remember like going like this or something. And then when I looked at underneath my eye, it was like almost like a semi-permanent dye of like the brightness of yellow. I mean, it stayed on a little bit too long. And I was like, let me try this. I have like melasma right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have melasma right there. So I was like, let me just try it over here. So I took like a little bit and I watered it down a lot and I like let it sit for a couple seconds and I wiped it off. And I was like, oh my God, it kind of canceled it out. But this is not FDA approved. This is like literally a trick that I do on myself. yourself. And then if you have special occasions, a hemorrhoid cream comes in real handy for underneath your eyes.
No shit.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
It depuffs
Little preparation ace. Right
yeah, just a little dot, massage it in, and it like flattens it out because it takes away puffiness. But this is not an every single day thing hack. Like if it's like your wedding or like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like a really special occasion.
I think that's a really good tip.
Yeah.
And the spoons are like, whatever, if it's spoons or the ice roll or whatever, like, I think that you do the spoons amazing because you know how to work them. But I think ice on the face just to depuff, like I actually really need to get back to that every morning.
It's the simple things. Like,
and it makes such a difference in the way that your makeup is applied. Okay. This is my last question. Then I'll let Chad ask his, but I think that so I don't know if my mom has told you this before. She might have like outed me, but I used to be so bad with makeup, like so bad to the point where my face was like a completely different color than my body, like embarrassing photos from high school and college where I had really bad acne, but I just wanted to cover it. So I would just cake it all on. And I think that I've learned so much over the years. I mean, it's been 10 years since I've had makeup that was that bad. And I've learned so much from watching you, from having you do my makeup. Like we've talked about so many different things, but what is the biggest mistake you see women make with their makeup?
Not blending.
Yeah.
And not doing it like, even with me, like I'm like, let's say I'm really good at like stage makeup. We're really, really good at stage makeup because that was like my preface of how I began. And then like I did Middle Eastern weddings that literally the makeup needs to stay for 14 hours.
Yeah.
Perfect. Even when you're crying and your aunts are kissing your face and so on. But I think layering, people don't really understand like it's layer and layer and layer and layer versus like throwing it all on at once and expecting to blend it out. It's you have to like put a thin layer, then another thin layer, and then another thin layer. And each layer you have to blend it out, blend it out, blend it out. So it just kind of almost looks like this diffused ending with no lines. And I mean, listen, I'm guilty for the lines too. You need to know the right colors. That's definitely very important. If you color match correctly, it really will not look like you have anything on, because the tone blends and complements your skin tone very well. And then just thin layers will take you a long way. And I feel like a lot of people with acne, they think just because they have like a couple of pimples or this and that, they need to cover their whole face. You can do a thin layer on your face and then just go and correct the spots that you have.
Yes.
Like you don't need that full coverage everywhere on your face.
Yes. That is so good. I think that if for anyone who like wants to learn how to blend their makeup better, like she'll show you how to do it. But I think that actually watching someone else do it, like you have on your YouTube and whatever, like it's so helpful because like I said, I literally like my face never used to match my body. It was like such a problem.
I mean, girl, we were all there in high school. I used to, my choice of drug was a Clinique Dewy Smooth. And I don't know why, because I have like a pink undertone. Oh, here's a cool tip. So this is how you know like what undertone you are. If you go like this.
Make a fist.
Yeah. And then the best way to match your foundation is like try it out on your knuckles.
That is a cool trick.
Don't know why I was obsessed with this like one olivey tone, which I'm not. And I would take that and I hated how thick my eyebrows were. And I would literally put it in my hands and just smear it all over my eyebrows too. Yes. And I thought I was so hot. So hot. No one can tell me shit with my Dewy Smooth Clinique rubbed all over my face.
Oh my gosh, I used to have it on my lips too. Like yes. It was so bad. Oh,
do you remember the MAC lip glosses? The really
sticky ones?
Yeah.
Yes.
Even I remember that brand. Just like from my sisters.
Yeah. I mean, that was the trend. That was the whole vibe. You needed to look pale.
Gotta look fly for the MySpace page.
Yes, that was the whole era. That was the whole
era.
era.
And then when you would take pictures, because it was so light on your skin, your face was all white.
Yeah.
Just quickly, like, what are your 3 or so recommendations for guys? We're inherently lazier. It needs to be dumbed down and quite easy for like vitality and,
I just got him using an eye cream and
Oh
moisturizer.
my
So we're
goodness.
baby steps here.
I don't
Hirsch,
use an
baby
eye
steps.
cream. She has purchased an eye cream, but
Okay, a moisturizer he's using.
I won't go over 4 or 5 minutes. I think I'm probably like most,
I
but
know, but I just feel like it helps stop aging. Not that like it's nothing is gonna help stop aging, obviously, but like
yeah,
you're just slowing up the process. I
yeah.
definitely feel like SPF,
He
SPF.
is the
I
king of
cannot
sunscreen.
I'm pretty good
say
about that.
SPF. Yeah, enough.
I wear like a sombrero when we walk around
Yeah,
Vegas, and like I've always
yeah.
been good at that, just growing up with my dad. But so that's probably number one, of course.
Yeah.
Any specific products or just regimens that you might recommend also?
Yes, of course. So now that I've said SPF 3 times to men, you're definitely going to need that eye cream. Eye cream really does help, but it depends on which eye cream. Because I feel like certain eye creams aren't really doing what it's supposed to do. It's just a smaller jar of moisturizer or a cream, to be honest. And a lot of eye creams give me milia, like those like little white bumps
Yeah.
because it's too much. It almost like calcifies underneath my eye. But I definitely think that like an eye balm, especially there's a all natural one from Tula. It's made with probiotics.
He's
And
writing this down.
yeah, a gastro doctor actually created this brand, which is very, very interesting. I really like their products. I feel like you would like them too because it's like super organic.
Non-toxic.
Yeah, and non-toxic, GMO, all that.
Mhm.
And it's vegan. But like they have this like blue cooling eye balm. I've really noticed a very big difference with it. And I think just putting on cream before you go to sleep, like a thick cream, like even like the Nivea, I like the Germany made ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I compare the Nivea Germany made ingredients to like the La Mer and then an Augustine butter if you want to really spend your money.
I was going to say you love Augustine butter.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but it's pretty pricey, you know,
but
and it does not like, there's not that much in the tube. Let's keep it real.
Let's be honest.
There's a middle ground though. Like I think one thing I realized as a guy, I guess later on in life is like, there's some products out there that are just absolute dog shit. Like
it really is.
Whether it's shampoo, face wash, and like I don't know how to read the ingredients like you both do, but you can just feel it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you know, there's an economic portion of this, but there is some middle of ground products that are highly
really good. Yeah.
I think are a lot better.
I mean, she just gave Nivea like a shout out. So there you go.
Yeah.
Hrush, last question for you. Who is your ultimate beauty icon and why?
I feel like I have two.
Okay. Both.
Cher, just because like, does the woman even age?
No, literally no. She is turning back time.
Yeah, literally. If she could change back time, yeah, she did. And I just remember like before quarantine, I went and watched one of her shows and just how she still moves and her energy and just her makeup, her glam. And like, I feel like she really just changed the beauty standard at that time. And she just gave looks after looks after looks after looks until this day, people like emulate her look. And I mean, she's half Armenian, so that makes me like, really into her.
For sure.
But also just Princess Diana. I have like an obsession with her.
Oh, me too. Did you see the movie? So good.
Everything with related to Princess Diana. Like I know like some people are like, when I've answered that question, like, but she was not the most beautiful. It's like, but she was such an intriguing woman to me. And like to me, beauty is symmetry. I can make anyone look symmetrical. You give me enough time with you, I can do that to your face. But for me, it's like, I don't know, like a woman's allure like makes them like sexy, mysterious, beautiful personality. Like I integrate all of that into how I view beauty.
I think that that's so important. I think that that's like really what it's about, and having that like you said, like a little bit of mystery and intrigue. Like it's so key. A lot of times some people will say, two people and it'll be like really similar, but I think that they both offer something so different. And so
they really do.
Very cool. Well,
who's your glam icons?
I know that so many people would say this, but I am to this day, and I feel like she has aged beautifully. It's not like she's old, but Angelina Jolie is just
100%.
To me, like she has that mystery, she has that intrigue, but also like her face is literally like perfectly.
I mean, literally perfect.
I think she's stunning. What about you? Who's your beauty icon, Chad?
Yeah. What about you, Chad? We want to hear this. I love hearing it from men.
Like female?
Yes.
I don't know.
Oh, I know who he's gonna choose.
I already icon, but I think Margot Robbie is.
He loves Margot.
Every man loves Margot Robbie. There is something about her. She has finesse
about her.
But I also I'm into like a Penelope Cruz.
Yeah.
Selma Hayek a little bit. Like there's like something about her too.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I think that like there's something about having like a beautiful ethnic background that like does bring that little bit of like sexiness, mystery. I mean, you have it too. You have that like kind of
Armenian.
The Armenian mystery.
Yes.
Oh gosh, this has been so fantastic. I know that our listeners are going to love it. So thank you for taking the time. I know how busy you are. We really appreciate it. I can't wait to see you next week.
Thank you. I know. Likewise, we have so much to catch up on.
Lots to catch up on.
You guys for having me on your channel, and I'm sure it's going to like take off because two people that work extremely hard from what I've seen.
Thank you.
Behind the scenes, and you guys are very, very interesting and have a lot to talk about too.
Well, thank you. We love you.
That. Thank you so much for being on.
We love you long time. My nail is
your nail is broken. I'll see you next weekend.
See you next weekend.
See you.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. You can also connect with us on social media at Wellness by Kelly. Drop us a DM for who you want to hear from.